Hey everybody, I'm JJ Johnson, and I'm a middle grade author and a geeky dad, and I want to tell you about the Right to Ignite masterclass that I'm doing called Lapping on the Light Side, writing clean, clever humor for kids and teens. We're going to talk about why humor is so much more than just jokes and how it helps readers connect, how it deepens your characters, builds tension, and how clean laughter can strengthen faith and hope in our stories. We'll also look at what makes kids laugh is totally different from what works for teens and how to match your humor with your audience. Then we'll get really practical with some tools that you can use right away, like timing, funny dialogue, awkward moments, and escalating chaos. So if you want your stories to be funnier, sharper, and more page-turning, come join me at Right to Ignite on April 18th. I'll see you all there. Later.
Welcome to the Right to Ignite podcast, where we talk to authors who are writing to ignite the next generation with a heart for the Lord. I'm Kyle Morgan.
And I'm Brenda Covert.
Now, Brenda, I have a question for you. What is your favorite fictional donkey?
I'm going to have to say Druplet because I can't think of any other donkeys that had a name. Although the Christmas donkey that Jesus rode, well, he didn't ride it at Christmas, though,
He didn't ride it at Christmas.
But that one didn't have a name.
Well, our guest today has written 3 titles: The Christmas Donkey, The Easter Donkey, and The Unexpected Gift. Before writing picture books, Donna Thornton did financial work for profit and nonprofit organizations for 35 years. She lives in South Carolina with her husband and 3 adult children. She volunteers as the treasurer for her local library friends group and hopes to publish 1 book each year. Donna, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to start with your mother's raspberry farm, and how has it become your story world, your muse, and kind of your 100-acre wood?
Wow, that's a lovely way to put it, Kyle. When my mom retired, as I'd just done in the last year, her goal was to start a raspberry farm. That's sort of what she wanted to do in her bucket list of things when she retired. She can absolutely grow anything, and she has this amazing love of animals as well. And so I guess her joy in that really translated to my joy and my family's joy as well. A raspberry is a beautiful, I guess it's a fruit. It is a fruit. And when she started doing this, this new world that she was a part of in retirement, of doing the things that she loved to do, was just great inspiration for me. She, like me, had been in the financial world for all of her career, and it seemed like this left brain, right brain thing was going on, maybe with both of us. And when she started that raspberry farm, she started adding animals. Well, one of the first animals she added was a donkey. I've never been around big animals my whole life, nor had she, but she wanted to have a donkey on her farm. Well, surprise, this donkey was expecting a donkey. And so when this little donkey was born, it became like a new member of the family. Honestly, my kids were of that age, just that wonderment and age of farm animals and babies and things like that. And we just all took to this little baby donkey. And sort of the rest is history. And it's just story after story poured out of the farm. Just latest with this new book that I just released, The Unexpected Gift, is really a true story that happened on the farm. So how it happened was really by sheer coincidence. But my mother is a wonderful person and just brings that kind of special attention and detail to everything she does. So it became my joy as well.
I met you at a book signing at Mass General Store years ago for the Easter Donkey, and that's up here in the foothills of South Carolina. So how did you end up at the East Coast?
Well, it's really simple. When everyone left home in my house, when we lived up in the upstate of South Carolina, we moved to the beach. we went south to the beach, and partially because, or really because, my husband had a new job down in the lower part of the state of South Carolina, running a sawmill for a big company down here, and we didn't have to really worry about schools or school systems anymore or anything like that. So we decided to come to the beach, and that's how we landed here.
Yeah, that's my daughter's dream to live
Yeah,
at the.
it's really different. It took me a long time to get used to it because I was used to mountains and contours and things like that. But I really love the flat. Oops, sorry. I love the flatness now of the low country. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's cool. At least you're still in South Carolina.
Yes, yes.
So you said that you wanted to publish a book per year.
Mhm.
But as I was doing research and I saw that you said in a Facebook post that The Unexpected Gift was written 11 years after the Easter Donkey. So can you talk about that gap and, why you took the time off and now why you want to really, lean into this?
Yeah, that's really amazing question. I wonder that myself. I have lots of stories in my head, and I'm really a storyteller. I think of the folks that you've had on your podcast before as being real writers, people that really write. I really storytell. So I have these stories in my head that I want to get out, that I love to twist around and just really make them maybe perhaps interesting to children is mostly who my audience is. But I was working, I was raising kids, and I didn't really think I had anything left really to say maybe after the Easter donkey. I thought, okay, well, I've bookended the life of Christ with a donkey. I've told, tried to tell a new look at, to me, two of the most important stories in the Bible, or they have to rank right up there if they're not the most important stories in the Bible. And I felt like maybe I had come to completion on that. But I don't say my fans, but the people that have loved the Christmas and Easter donkey for years really were just always after me. When are you going to write another? When are you going to write something else? When are you going to write something else? I said, okay, when I retire, which was last year, I'm gonna publish a new book. I needed to find a new artist because the artist that did the Christmas and Easter donkeys moved on. She has grandchildren and things. She just didn't want to do any more work like that. So I said, I need to find a new artist. And I did, found her very easily. And we've just become the best of friends. Kayru and I have just become the best of friends. And and I found a new publisher in the Low Country of South Carolina, kind of a local person that just does amazing work. And so I did, I did, and now I've kind of gotten the bug. Like, people are still buying and crazy about the Easter and Christmas donkeys, and now are really excited about the unexpected gift. So maybe I do have something more to say, with all these stories that I have in my head.
Well, it sounds like it. So what can you tell us about class publishing? How has working with a locally based publisher supported your goals?
Yeah, Linda Ketron is the head of Class Publishing. She just received, and I don't know, guys, the name of the award from the South Carolina Literacy Society. She is just a powerhouse in South Carolina for really supporting people that are kind of like me, that are kind of homegrown writers, people that maybe just want to write one thing or maybe two, but she believes that people that write, need a good economical way to get their books published, and so she makes that very simple. And she has a cast of folks that support her. Down in the Low Country, South Carolina, most people down here are retired. Most people are not like my husband and I come down here for a job. They actually come down here to retire. And so there is just a world of good experience that people have that maybe they're not quite ready to kind of throw in the towel of doing anything creative. But Linda has, amazing editors. She has people that photograph the work. She has graphic designers that do it for really just for the fun of it. And that has been so nice to be a part of that. Now, she does not at all, I wouldn't say at all, help you get your book out there, because she knows a lot of people, but that part is on you. And that's why I felt the Jenny Cote, I want to call her Cote, I don't think it's Cote, but I think it's Cote, found her podcast so interesting that you did about marketing your books, because that really helped me think about those types of things.
Yeah. Even if you're with a traditional publisher with a marketing team and everything, you can't just sit back and let someone else handle it, because nobody cares as much about your book succeeding as you do.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah, and I like that you were saying that you're kind of focusing on, and it sounds like you're publishing too, is focusing on local authors and kind of creating a local, literary scene. So how has that changed your strategy for marketing the books? It seems like you're going a lot more analog, where everybody's going digital. You're going more in person. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I sure can. I thought about the question you asked, Brenda, an author that you had, about how many signings did they have with their new book. You asked that to someone recently, and I thought,
probably Laura Sassy.
Every
weekend.
They're going to ask me that question.
I know. I wasn't planning to.
No, I do. I was thinking I should have counted, because I keep up with all my signings in my little book that I keep. But since The Unexpected Gift has come out, I probably have done 40 signings.
Wow.
I do so many local events. I think that the best way for me to tell a child or a grandmother that's telling a book, that's wanting to buy a book, about my books, the best way for me to tell them is for me to tell the story to them, because that's what I do. I'm a storyteller. I wanted to tell you about the farm. I want to tell you about these animals. I want to tell you, what I think about, how God uses his creation to help you understand your relationship with God. Because to me, if God came for all creation, he certainly came for animals, and he certainly came for you and me. And I want people to know from me, my view. It's not the best view. It's not the only view, but I want people to know that I truly believe that they can have a relationship with Christ. And that hopefully reading these little stories might encourage them to do so. So, Kyle, I don't know if I answered your question or not. Ask it one more time. I lost focus there on getting my preachy self going. But
No, I love that. I was just asking, how your approach is for local events. And yeah, that's you totally answered that. I love that.
Well, we live in a tourist environment at the beach, and there's always something going on that you meet new people. Truly, all the time there's a new event with new people coming through. When you live when you live in an area that is very touristy, you have fresh folks all the time. And so I don't have to go very far. I don't have to go really further than 5 miles from my house to find a new audience. Today, even, so I just am very blessed for God to have put me here in this place to share these books.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. You said it was a miracle that the Christmas Donkey came into print. Can you tell us more about that miracle?
Yeah, I would love to. I tell this story at my table. Probably the people that sit next to me and tell books could tell it just as well as I can, because they've heard it so many times. But like I think I told you that the little donkey was born on my mom's farm. And so my kids were really getting to the age they would not let me read to them anymore. We had spent most families, most people that are going to listen to this podcast, they've read to their kids, their grandkids. It's just a part of life. And so my kids were coming to the age that they were like, no, let's don't do that anymore. So I said, all right, well, I had just absolutely fallen in love with children's literature. And when this donkey was born, I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to write my mom for Mother's Day. I'm going to write her a story about that donkey, using that donkey. And I did. And when I gave it to her that Mother's Day, it was a Sunday, Mother's Day afternoon. I said, Mom, I've written you this story, and I know this is a little different of a gift for you, and it may be a little childish, but here's your present. And so I gave it to her. Well, she read it, and she was reading it and reading it, and all of a sudden I looked, and there were just tears flowing down my mom's eyes. And I thought, oh my word, what have I done? And she looked at me when she finished, and she said, oh, we have to do something with this. And I said, Mom, no, this is just a little gift for you. This really, no. Well, you know how moms are. She got with Lynn Pryor, who's the artist for the Christmas donkey and the Easter donkey. Lynn is a professional artist. I'm a makeshift writer, but she's a professional artist. And my mom got together with her and got artwork done. And then she found a publisher and convinced me that we needed to go for this. And I'm like, Mom, I'm in the heat of the battle here. I've got kids. Full-time job. I really don't have time to do this. I said, but let's go for it. And so we did. And lo and behold, that really is the miracle. I was the one most surprised, honestly. Whereas my mom had always believed in it since she read it. And yeah, here we are. And then several years later, I said, you know what? Kids really need to know the rest of the story of Christmas, and that is the Easter story. And I said, just by the way, there is a donkey in the Easter story for 100% sure. People could question about the Christmas story, but yeah. So that is the miracle.
That's awesome. I think we all need somebody in our corner like your mom.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I love that. So what is something that you wish you had known sooner about this business, or the craft of writing a picture book? You've been at it for a while now. What's something
that I wish I would have known sooner? That's a good question, Kyle. Something I wish I'd known sooner. I guess how much fun it is. I absolutely, when I'm out selling, when I'm out at a table selling books and telling people about my mom's farm and these animals and all of that, the joy that brings people and the stories that I hear back of, well, I used to have donkeys, or I have chickens, or I have this, or I have that. And the kids just meeting the children and just sharing that story with them, the fun that you have with that and the joy that brings me as being a numbers person my whole life, really working in spreadsheets and behind a computer my whole life. If I had known this would have been so much fun, I would have maybe taken it a little bit more seriously. I maybe would have gone for my love of words versus my love of numbers for a career.
Okay, and your books use animals to tell biblical and moral stories. So why do you think children respond so deeply to the animal characters?
I think that children get along with animals so well, generally speaking, is because they're of the same innocence. I think there is a great innocence to animals and to children that they connect with one another, and I think that is a beautiful thing that God probably surmised that we as grown-ups maybe don't see as much as we should. But I really think that there is a camaraderie between children and animals, and especially as I have seen about farm animals, because most children do not live on farms now. 100 years ago, that would have been very different. Most kids, lived on a farm, but today kids don't, there's a lot of kids that probably have never even touched a chicken or petted a donkey or petted a goat before. And I think that brings wonder to them because these animals are different than dogs and cats and things. And they're just so, they're so sweet. My mom's at least were very sweet, and most farm animals are sweet as well, as long as you've got something for them to eat. But yeah, I think that there's a great connection between children and animals. I do.
I love
That's
that.
true.
Are all three books set on your mom's farm?
They are,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that all future projects will be, on your mom's farm, or at least, local stories, since you're focusing on you really being a local author. Is that right?
Right. I'm not sure that there'll be any more stories from the farm. I don't have any in my head unless my mom tells me something that I haven't, that I've forgotten, or have you thought about this story before? So I don't think there's any more coming from the farm there in South Carolina, the upstate of South Carolina. But I've got a project that I'm working on with a local nonprofit here that does involve animals, and it's really animals of the Low Country. This area down here just teems with wildlife, alligators and wood storks and otters, and oh my gosh, just name it, turtles, snakes, all kinds of things. And so I believe I'm going to go that route at the first of the year. I've got the story written down and in my head. I got to go sell it, but it would benefit one of the nonprofits here in an event that they do, a fundraiser that they do. So more to come on that one.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I was sitting here thinking, well, what kind of animals could you write about down there? Are there chickens running around? Yeah. Alligators, they're everywhere.
Kids love alligators. It's crazy. They love alligators. I noticed that um, when folks come to visit, like from the north, and they just want to see an alligator. I'm like, really? They love alligators.
Up close and personal. No, thank you.
Well, I'm from Idaho. I don't think I've ever seen an alligator in real life, except maybe in the
Oh,
zoo.
wow.
So yeah,
Hi.
so
Yeah.
Oh, see what I'm saying?
exactly.
So, how do you balance teaching spiritual truth without the story sounding preachy? That is something
Mm,
that Christian authors struggle with.
yeah. I use a character in the Christmas donkey and the Easter donkey, and it's a cat, Buster the cat. And Buster the cat, what in real life was a stray cat that happened on my mom's farm. And a barn. He's a barn cat, and I don't know if you know what a barn cat. Are familiar with a barn cat, but a barn cat is a cat that roams around a lot. And so he naturally knows a lot of things, and he will happen upon a lot of events just because he roams around and is a cat, right? So I use Buster the cat in both the Christmas story and the Easter donkey and the Christmas story to tell Druplet, the donkey, the adventure she's been a part of, why those things are so important to humans, right? So I use a cat who knows a lot about things, who has experienced things, to tell them why Jesus came. What's all the big hubbu about? Why is that? And he also tells her in the Easter donkey, he tells her why the cross has been so why she's been so smitten by the cross, and what the cross really means to humans. And of course, then they all the farm animals share in the joy. But I use the cat to tell people that, and a cat can't be very preachy. He's just telling you the facts of what he knows and what he's seen. um, and of course, the unexpected gift is really a chicken who learns about God's goodness, who learns about kindness, without there's no preaching in there. It's just about good quality Christian principles. So I use, again, really the innocence of the animals, maybe the natural tendencies of a roaming barnyard cat, to tell kids, hey, this is really not complicated. What God has done for us is not complicated. You don't need to be preachy. It's really just around us everywhere. And so look and see.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. Instead of having an adult who, lectures the children
Yeah,
and you tune out, that's boring. Yeah, having a cat or any other animal
yeah.
coming up with those things
Yeah,
that would be more interesting and natural for a talking animal. to-
Exactly, especially for a cat, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The cat doesn't strike me as a street preacher or anything.
But a barn cat does roam around. They really,
Yes.
really, so they're very curious and
Yes, they do. So you talked about all the different author events. So do you do school visits?
I do school visits. I
Okay.
used to do many more, but I do some now here in the Low Country. But those are I would love to do more. I really would. And I've reached out to some folks to do those, but I mean, maybe you all can help me know how to get in the right touch with the right people. But I love doing school events and reading to children. I do.
I had heard that you had to have a book published through Scholastic to be able to get into schools.
Maybe
And you can't get into Scholastic without an agent. So I've just been scratching my head about how to do that. So
I
how have you been able to do what you have done to get into schools?
Yeah, well, I now I do mostly preschools, like private preschools,
Okay.
but you don't have to be a part of Scholastic to do that. But I would love to do more of those types of things, independent schools or even homeschooling. I would love to do more reading to children. That's where my chi really comes in, is that I love reading and showing kids. And when I show them the pictures of the animals, of their real animals, oh my gosh, the joy of that is, I can't describe it. When they know that these are real animals, yeah, that's really cool.
You've described being smitten by grace and seeing God's hand in your writing. So, this is a question from my heart. How do you discern when an idea is something that God wants you to pursue? Because I wonder to myself, is this God or is this me?
Exactly. Yeah. Brenda, I think it's really about the response that you get at the signing table, or the thank you notes that you get, or the emails that you get from people that read the books. The other day, at my table, a lady came by, and she had a teenager with her, and she said, Donna, thank you for writing The Christmas Donkey. It has made such a difference in my child's life. And I went, what? And that was a teenager. You know, that there is no, I can't describe the joy that I felt with that, because I know she probably just said that to make me feel good, but and it did. It really, really did, to know that one little story can impact a life. So that's how I know that God is in it. I don't need, I mean, I do not make money. I mean, I cover my cost on my books, but I am not a big time author. I'm not in it for the money. I'm really in it for the stories and the joy, and really just the opportunity that God's put in front of me to maybe just touch one life. What if kids just knew the two stories of the Christmas donkey and the Easter donkey? What impact would that have on kids' lives and in our world's lives? And I look through rose-colored glasses on that, and I say, you know what? If they knew those two stories, maybe just just maybe we'll be okay. So that's kind of the way I look at things. But it's really confirmation through the feedback that I have for the books, that I know this is what I need to be doing.
I love that. So when you're writing these books, do
Mm.
you have people that read the books while you're writing? Do you kind of test it out? I remember you said that Brenda edited one of your books. So do you reach out to editors? Do you have kids or grandkids that read it?
Yeah, it takes me a long time to write a story, because I write it in my head. My books are only what 1,200 words, so it's not like they're epistles or anything like that. I let my mom read it,
There you go.
and if it strikes her, then I go on to somebody else. Then I let my husband read it, and I say, what do you think about this? And then I let my children read it, because I really want to know how it affects people. I really want to know that. I don't really want to know if this is the right word. From an editor standpoint, that comes real later in this in the process. I want to know, is the story impactful? Can children learn something from this story? Will they grasp it and say, you know what, that I'm going to keep that book, or I'm going to bring that book out every Christmas, or I'm going to bring that book out every Easter. I'm going to bring that book out because it reminds me of what this is all about. So those are my people. My mom, and my family, they are the ones that are my test group. And then I send it to my publisher, Linda Ketron with Class Publishing, and I say, how does this affect you? And she'll either give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Always been a thumbs up so far. Of course, she's only really done the one. I switched publishers just recently, and so she's really just done the Unexpected Gift is she's reprinted the Christmas Donkey and the Easter Donkey, but she published the Unexpected Gift. So I go to the experts later. I really want to know how it affects the people that know me and love me first.
Well, and I would say that grandmas are experts when it comes to picture books.
Absolutely. Of course they are. Of course they are.
Well, it's cool that you can hit up Linda first.
Yeah.
Whereas most people that's the last person that's going to see the book. And
that's right. Yeah.
You may have put years into to finally get it to that point, and they can be like,
right.
Not interested.
That's right. Yeah.
So let's go back to this publish one book a year goal.
Yeah.
What helps you stay disciplined and inspired to meet that goal?
Well, yeah, we'll see if I meet it. Okay. Because that's just a new goal that I have. Because people are wanting me, many people are wanting me to do more and more and more and more. But, publishing a book is, first of all, it's to find the right story and the right artist and all of that to go together is not as easy as it may look. I mean, you may look at the book and you say, oh, that's beautiful, or oh, that's wonderful. But there's obviously a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. I just think for me that I would like to, when I have new events come around, and I have, I do the same events, a lot as well, that I would have a new offering every year. That's kind of what I want to do. I don't want to, I just don't want to overload myself, and I don't want to miss the joy. I don't want to do it for the wrong reasons. I don't want to publish a book just because I want to publish another book. It's a lot of work to publish a book, as you know, as both of you two know. It's a lot of work to publish a book, but I just want it to be the right book, the right story, that is meaningful and really will bring glory to God. That's what I really, really want. I guess I could be more prolific of a writer and put out more books, but that hasn't hit me yet. I just want to do one a year.
That's a good goal. I mean, I haven't even done that.
Well, we'll see if it happens.
I've talked to, darn it, well, I can't remember the author's name, but I had won a 30 minutes to ask anything Zoom session through some writing competition. And so I asked her, she was amazed that I wasn't writing every day, that I didn't have like a list of things that I was actively working on, because that's what she does. And she publishes more than one a year. And I was like, I don't have that kind of energy. I just don't know how some of these authors do that, where they just keep going, going, going.
I know that's why I call myself a storyteller and not a writer. I'm a storyteller. I don't, I think Stephen King is a writer. Like he writes 8 hours a day, every day, 365. I mean, he is a writer. I write words on a piece of paper, but I am more of a storyteller. I'm more interested in the content and the quality and the message of what I write versus can I write a lot of words on a paper, because I've never been that type of writer. Never. Nor do I think I ever will be.
I like that approach. I think there's room for all sorts of different approaches when it comes to writing. So what is an author right now that you really either look up to or that you love what they're doing?
Yeah, and this is not a children's novel, okay? But Alan Levy, he's lives somewhere in Georgia, has written um, uh, Theo Theo of oh gosh, what's the name of the book? It's right on the tip of my tongue. Alan Levy, Theo of Golden. Excuse me, Theo of Golden is the book. And if you have not read this novel, it is such a good story. Um, I just love him, but he is an attorney. He's not a writer. I believe the story goes that his one of his friends just badgered him so long to publish this book that he had written, the story he had written down. He said, I will buy, this friend said to him, I will buy 1,000 copies of your book if you will just publish the story.
Wow.
I love it. And so he did. And the it is like one of my top 5 favorites. It is a beautiful story. And so I really admire people like that. I really admire, people that write the one really good novel, Margaret Mitchell's, those people, Harper Lee, the people that write the one really good novel. That's who I really love. I do.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, my connection is a little bit unstable, so I'm gonna hope I get my question out there, and if I drop off, I'll get back in as fast as I can. Anyway, what's some advice you give to someone who wants to write faith-based picture books but doesn't know where to start?
I think that you need to read a lot of picture books to know what you like and what you don't, because there's all kinds out there, right? Do you want a book that is I mean, I consider my books, and my publisher considers my books, sort of like coffee table children's books. Do you want it to be on nice paper? How much do you really want to spend in getting this book printed and published? How much do you really want to do that? I think so. You read and you decide what kind of book that you want to write, and how much money you really want to put into it, because that is a big determination. That's a big factor. Because if you're not going to really commit, I think, to about 1,000 copies of your book, you're really not going to drive your costs down enough to maybe get your money back. So I think you have to be very, very aware of what publishing a book really costs, especially like me, who, I'm not a Stephen King, not any of like the artists that you've had on the show before. I pay for my books, and so I've got to be cognizant of the quality and what I want to do. So that I would say that first of all, and then are you going to do your own artwork? Because I think artwork is what sells a book. Let's face it, this donkey on the front of my book makes people grab that book. I don't know if you can see it, but that donkey picture makes you say, do I want to pick up that book? And I think that it does. So you've got to invest in really good artwork, whether you do it yourself or get a professional. That is something you really need to consider, is what type of artwork you're going to have and what you're going to invest in it. Because many times people will pick up my book and say, oh, did you do the artwork? And I'm like, no, but the artwork, they'll say, oh, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful artwork. Before they even read the words, they'll look and say, is it beautiful artwork? And I think the artwork is so important for someone that's going to do picture books. Don't skimp on it.
Yeah, Kyle and I both have an author friend, Michelle Welts, that she spent 2, if not 3 years working on learning to illustrate so that she could illustrate her own book.
Yeah.
And I enjoy doodling, but I do not want to illustrate my own books. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
No, I can see the artwork in my head. I can see it. I can see the characters' faces, and I can see all that, but there is no way I can get that down on a piece of paper. That would be disastrous.
So
yeah, we'll leave that for the professionals.
Yes.
Yeah. Everybody has their art, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And so you you said about, 1,000 copies at least you want to, shoot for. So
Yes.
when it comes to, tables and booths at markets, bazaars, and conventions and stuff, what's your advice to authors on you know, how to navigate that whole space? Because that's a whole kind of different world than your author events at like bookstores or libraries or stuff. It's kind of a different animal that way.
It is, and Kyle, it just involves a lot of time. There's a local nonprofit here that I keep referring to, and I just came out of summer. They have an event there during the summer, and I was there for every Wednesday and Saturday throughout the whole summer. So it takes a lot of time. You dedicate a lot of time. Even when I used to sign for the Mass General stores, I mean, it would be a whole weekend of traveling to stores, and just the amount of time it takes from your family, if that's important. And it used to be important for me. I don't have kids at home anymore, but time is a big deal. You've got to be out there and in front of people and dedicating, your attention to it. Hours and hours of signing books. I, you know, I think I'm pretty well connected within the local market books. I've forgotten the word that you used for them, but the art craft fairs and things like
Yeah.
that. I just go to I've done some, and then I said, you know what, I'm not going to do that again because I didn't like it or it wasn't worth my time. But it was not really worth my time, but it just wasn't well attended, or it wasn't the right thing for my books. So I've kind of got now a schedule that I really like. Now I keep really busy at certain times, and then I go hiking the rest of the time. So I love being out and about as well. Um, but again, I'm very fortunate to live in an area that has many arts and crafts fairs, many local people that support local vendors, and I love doing those types of things, doing signings there, and I love to do it for nonprofits, for fundraisers that they have. Um, yeah, so that's I don't know that that's real advice on how to navigate that, but just pick the ones that you like and stick with it, and just keep going, because it does take a lot of time.
Well, and it sounds like you're talking too about knowing kind of which event fits your books, like kind of your audience, kind of know.
Yes, there's a Catholic church here in the area that does a benefit, and they all the money that they get from this craft fair goes into the community. See, I love that, right? I love that whole idea, and they're very successful. This the Catholic Church here, and they just do an amazing job of raising money especially for kids programs in the areas. And that's just right up my wheelhouse. I know that's where God wants me to be.
Yeah, I love that. And if you can send us some names of some of the nonprofits, we can put that in the show notes and the blog post. And
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll
yeah.
do that.
Okay, well, just out of curiosity, because I've been to the arts Christmas markets and all of these, and I see books. How do you have your table set up? I mean, do you have banners and, and all? Because some of them are very elaborate. I'm a little worried about
I
what
do.
I should do for my own.
Yeah, I actually have a long table, and I have a tablecloth that will fit that table, and I have my banner attached to that tablecloth. It's so simple. I can send you a picture of a setup that I have. And then I have the books out front and center, right? And I have big stacks of books. And I've learned this over the years. Don't have one or two books out. Have a lot of books. Have make your books big, right? That people look and then say, "Oh my gosh, here's a lot of copies of this book. This must be a good book." Just a little tidbit that I learned there. And then
That's good to know.
to
That's
draw.
good to know, because I was thinking if you put out fewer, then they'd be like, oh no, they're almost gone. I better snatch my copy.
that has not been my experience. To have a lot of books out, to me, it has worked well for me, a big stack of books. But you do want to be careful, because your books will, if you're especially out in the environment, you don't want your books to get wet, or the humidity to get down here. The humidity is amazing. It will ruin your books. But yeah, so that's to consider. And then I don't know how interested you are in this, but for this new book and this newfound time that I have in retirement, I'm now crocheting a lot. And so I have these little characters on my table, and this is for the unexpected gift. And you can see it's a little egg and then this little chick that comes out. And so these are quite the little people snatchers here, right? They look and go, oh my gosh, what is that? Well, it is a little baby Keat that I crocheted for a little bit of merchandising for my new book. And of course I have donkeys as well that I crochet that attract people to my booth. But yeah, and I don't know if it's just so novel for people to get a book at a craft fair. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any trouble getting people to my table. I don't know if it's the stuffed animals. I think the books, and I'll brag on them, I think they're beautiful. I spend a lot of time making them beautiful and getting them printed in high quality facility. So I'm really, really big into that. And, now I know this is we're talking about Christian-based books and Christian programming, but, now with the unexpected gift, I have a book that is not on a biblically based event. And so now I feel like I can draw in maybe people that maybe are not Christians or not brought up in the Christian faith, or maybe for whatever reason just don't have an affinity for Christianity, whatever, not yet anyway, we hope. And so I have the unexpected gift, which is not a biblically based story. And so I think that has been very beneficial too, to bring people to the table. Because some people just say, oh, that's about, yeah, no, I'm not into that stuff, and walk on. But now with the unexpected gift, I think I have an offering that draws more people to the table. So I don't know. I stand there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and I engage people because I really want I want children to know these stories. I really, really do.
And I love that motivation that it's not, I really want to sell as many copies as I can. You're talking, I want to make sure everybody knows about these books. And I think that's the right attitude anyway.
It is. And I think if you have that, Kyle, you'll cover your cost, and you're doing something I think that's noble in the world to do. And I think that Christ would enjoy me spending time doing that, so it's all good. And Brenda, just an honor, really. And you are doing such wonderful work. Just keep it up. And what a joy to share with you.
Thank you.
Well, Donna was gracious enough to offer our listeners a giveaway. If you want to win a copy of the Easter Donkey, here's how you enter. You can send us an email at info.righttoignite@gmail.com. That's info.righttoignite@gmail.com. Or you can comment on this blog post. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you will tune in the next episode. In the meantime, keep writing and igniting those hearts for the Lord. Thank you so much, Donna.
Thanks, everyone.